Alright everyone, we're going to get started here in just a moment, so bear with me here. Okay, thank you so much for jumping into my channel. I appreciate you stopping by. We don't have a lot of time, so let's jump right into it. What I'm going to be covering is why call it New Age when it's always been in existence. So one of the first things we have to understand is within the new modern day religion concept, a lot of people like to call what we call now as spirituality New Age. Well, today I'm going to prove to you why this New Age has always been in existence and that it's just becoming unearthed or unsmothered. It's been buried for many years and now it's beginning to resurface itself because there's nothing new under the sun. So let's jump right into this information. So what we're going to be covering is the pre-dynastic period. Where did it all start? The shift in stolen knowledge. I'm not going to be dealing with religion head on today, but I'm just going to be proving a few basic points here. And I want everyone to take this information, and I hope it's helpful, okay? Let's get into it. All right, so ancient Kemet, what we know as ancient Kemet. Remember, the ancient Egyptians was a remarkable civilization, okay? So we understand that a lot of the information that we sustain today came from a great nation during the pre-dynastic period, which was ancient Kemet, what we know as ancient Egypt today. And I'm going to be going kind of fast. Like I say, I have a lot to get into with a little time to do it, okay? So here we go. So we know that, like I said, the ancient Egyptians were known as ancient Kemet, which means black or burnt, or to some black land. Depends on what you subscribe to, what you study. We all know that the ancient Egyptians was a melanated nation. There were two regions, obviously. We know there was the upper and the lower region. So in the pre-dynastic times, the religion was mostly used animistic because they understood that animals were certain understandings of their spirituality. They represented certain things within nature, so they utilized these things to explain nature. It's not that they worshiped these things, but they understood the one creator. They just realized that the one creator existed within all and through all. This is not a foreign concept to the ancient Egyptian or the ancient Kemetans. So a lot of people misinform people about ancient Egypt, but we're going to set that record straight. Okay, so we understand that the totality of the Egyptian civilization was built upon a complete, precise understanding of universal laws. The profound understanding manifested itself in consistent, coherent, interrelated systems where art, science, philosophy, religion were intertwined and were employed simultaneously in a single organic unity. So we understand that all of this information that they use, from the animals to nature to all of this stuff that you see that they use, it was understood that the one universal God, the one creator existed within all of these things and showed itself through these different avenues, whether it be a hawk or, so on and so forth. So we understand right away, you can see the root word for spirit in Latin is actually breath. So I'm going to jump down right here. You can kind of go back through some of this stuff yourself, pause it and read it, get some of this information if you like. It's there for your own learning. We'll see that a mixture of nature worship, ancient myth preceded the highly developed hierarchy that sustained 31 dynasties. And gave the ancient Egyptians a complete understanding of the world's creation. In order to sustain and quantify their understanding, the ancient Kemetans or Egyptians consciously and subconsciously focused on nature, earth, sky, moon, sun, stars, and the Nile River. These elements took the adjective form of the one God, which everyone understood in the ancient Kemetic community. They knew that they were the one divine creator. They just utilized nature and form to allow the one creator to express itself, which lived within all. All right, so we understand that mythology was created during the ancient Egyptian time, which was stolen by the Greeks. Okay, so we know a lot of this information was diluted, stolen, and mistranslated to across the nation to spook you from what you need in order to liberate yourself from the Hellenistic times that we live in, which is another discussion that I won't get into today. But we know that we're living in Hellenistic times and that a lot of the information was stolen and misinformed to the people all across the world, okay? So you take your time. You can research this if you'd like to. Like I say, I'm really pressed for time, so I can't really read everything. But we understand, we get into a lot of what the ancient Egyptians understood, Osiris, Isis, or Haru, or Horus, or Ra, which was the sun, Amen, Ra. We understand that they understood Ma'at, the fundamental understanding of truth. So basically, we're going to keep going here and keep trying to make sure we stay on topic here. So we understand that the origins of the ancient myth is difficult to trace because it's too old. A lot of people, trying their best to trace all of this information back, but it's very difficult because they were such an advanced civilization, very intelligent, very spiritual. They really literally wanted to create the heaven on earth, in which the Bible speaks about, because they understood the knowledge that they needed to do this before they were conquered. Okay? And when you take this information and you don't realize what it is, it single-handedly destroys you, which is what it's done to this planet today. So what you're seeing is a resurface of all this ancient spirituality beginning to resurface itself. There are people who are beginning to wake up and beginning to understand exactly what's going on and what's happening around the world. So that's why you're beginning to see what these Christian pastors or anybody would like to say this New Ager. There's no such thing. This information has been in existence. The understanding of connecting with nature, the yoga, all these people who are doing these different things that they think they're discovering something new. It's not. The ancient Kemet has been doing this for centuries. They understood the art of how God is connected to nature and that there's one divine universal God. And it exists within duality, so they understood balance. So let me keep going here. So we understand that the sky god, so we have more on the origin of the mythology or the cosmology. So we understand that since Haru or Horus was the sky god, which he was considered to also contain the sun and the moon, and became that the sun was his eye and the moon was his right eye and his left eye. I'm sorry. You can see the sun was his right eye and the moon was his left eye. So understand this. This is where you get the idea of this all-seeing eye. Okay, this is ancient Egyptian understanding. This is very simple. They understood that the eye represented the eye of the mind. Okay, so Haru understood what he needed to do to be liberated or to raise up his consciousness or his Christ consciousness, whatever you prefer to call it. This ancient spirituality has been around, like I say, for centuries. This is nothing new. Okay, you can do this research yourself. I'll leave my sources so that you can find this information. Okay. Now, this is important here because now we're going to deal with the shift and the stolen knowledge. All right. So we understood that the Persians' invasion of Egypt in 539 BC didn't affect the Egyptian religion. The Egyptians kept worshiping their own gods, but the Persians prided themselves on their religious tolerance. But when Ptolemy, here we go, took over Egypt in 323 BC, that did make a difference. Under the Greek rule, the Egyptians did begin to worship some Greek gods, although they kept on worshiping the Egyptian gods as well. Also, this time, Greek people in Athens began to worship the Egyptian goddess Isis. They learned about Isis from traders sailing over from Egypt. Now, understand, this is very important, okay? This is why I keep saying that this information is not New Age. This information has been stripped, stolen, diluted, and falsified to you so that you would think that it's New Age, but it's actually your way out. You've been bamboozled, okay? We're still dealing with a Hellenistic age, which is Roman era. Basically, Rome has changed its name and evolved itself. It's still trying to create a one-world government, and it has, because we've allowed it to. We sit in a church and we misinterpret what the actual spirituality is in order to liberate us. So yeah, man, this information is very important. So remember here, when the Greeks came in around 323 BC, that is the very important time frame for when the spirituality began to lose its way and when it began to be diluted. And remember, Moses wasn't the first God to introduce a monotheistic God. You have to understand that we have Akhenaten as well, which is another topic for another day. Remember, I'm just proving to you that this New Age is nothing new. It's always been in existence. All right, so we got to understand that there has been a large community of Greeks in Egypt known as the Egyptoites from the Hellenistic period. There's that period I'm telling you about until the aftermath of the Egyptian Revolution of 1952. You're still existing within the Hellenistic period. Understand that it's only been, changed its name, and it's just evolved. So we're still dealing with hidden understanding of what we need as a species to ascend ourselves and to lift ourselves up to a higher state of consciousness to understand the one and true divine creator. All right? Now remember, the Greeks have been present since the 7th century BC. All right, so do your research on some of this stuff, okay? Here's some of my sources. You can check them out, type them in yourself. A lot of times when you use Wikipedia, you won't find the exact truth, so you got to go to some deeper sources in order to find some of the deeper knowledge, all right? Because they like to cover that information up from you. All right, guys. With that being said, I really hope that you got some good information. I know it was very fast and I couldn't really go in real depth detail, but I did enough just to make sure that you go do the research and to go ask more questions. Listen, don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Go look it up, okay? We have to get out of that mentality of just following whatever we hear. We have to go do our research for our own selves and allow the truth to reveal itself within you. Peace to you. Thank you so much for jumping in. I'll check you guys later. Peace.